And then the last tweet is just something that I find interesting, which is that GitHub Actions had an outage today for about 4 hours or even more. It was quite intense. A lot of people like to hate on GitHub because they go down more often than you would think they would for being such an important company, and everyone's banking all of their infrastructure and their code backups and all this stuff on GitHub, which totally makes sense. It does beg the question of like, is there going to be a replacement? If you look into the Y Combinator link as well, if you look into the Hacker News link here as well, it shows that apparently Azure was having some problems with their VMs. They were stopping auto scaling, I guess. It was one of the people in the replies was talking more about it. And it's really cool how Hacker News like has these people so deep in the game that you can kind of get that information. You know, this was like the best I could really find when searching Twitter for GitHub Actions Outage, but it was super obvious because it was down for a long time. You weren't able to really make any deploys or anything, which means we're all beholden to these guys to make sure their platform works, but it's not the end of the world and it's up now. We'll see if people like Linear, for example, I know that they're adding code review. It kind of makes sense up to a certain point now that AI needs all the context of the code of like, can these project management platforms own the code instead of GitHub and kind of add version control layer to their system? But then it's also interesting, like, is Git even the modern tool that we want to use in the age of AI? Because it speaks to that thing of AI makes it so that old tools make more sense because all of the training data is there. But then it's also like, because of ergonomics of using AI, it does beg these new tools to kind of be invented as well. And like code management, having work trees, all these different pieces weren't really thought about when we could have infinite agents running at once. But they were thought about when we had a bunch of humans running at once, you know, in these large teams. And that also speaks to the fact that I really believe that AI is kind of reinforcing the best practices of engineering. And instead of being super spread out and super distracted, we should be super focused on what we're working on and managing the code base that we own and understanding how it works from a deep level, from a mental model perspective. So just something interesting.